Hello everyone, welcome back. We're outside of Philz Coffee. We're going to do another battle. Today we're going to do the battle of Philz Coffee versus Dunkin Donuts. We're going east versus west, and we're going to see who makes the best drip coffee.
You can see the riding on the pavement. Young kids, they're growing up in basements. Online, a whole new generation. I'ma make mine, so you better go take it. Always, they need a new replacement. Decentralized, can't contain it. We're changing lives, yeah, upgrading. Call it suicide of the older generation. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the
Okay everyone, so we're here outside of Philz Coffee in Walnut Creek, California. Philz Coffee, there's the cup right there, really, really hot. They don't offer sleeves, by the way, so you can double cup it if you want, but they don't offer sleeves. They're drip only, so this is going to be a drip coffee review, even though Dunkin Donuts does do some espresso drinks. They were known originally for their drip coffee, and that's why I want to review both of these. So, having said that, Philz Coffee was established in 1978, I believe. If I'm incorrect, I'll put the correct date down there. It started out by this guy Phil, who bought a convenience store, and over the course of time, he kept experimenting with making coffee, and then eventually he opened up kind of Philz Coffee inside the convenience store that's in the Mission District in San Francisco. I believe it took him about 25 years to officially launch it, because he was doing all kinds of experiments, and then put kind of a kitchen table kind of thing into the convenience store, and then from there launched Philz Coffee. So I believe it's 2003 that it started, but the original store was bought in '78, and I guess he was doing some experiments before that. So looking at the cup, again, pretty standard paper cup, like Starbucks, like Pete's, all that kind of thing. It does have some corrugation on the sides, indicating that there must be some sort of heat issue. Some sort of way to dissipate the heat, but again, there is no sleeve. So I ordered a dark roast black coffee. I forget the name of the coffee, but I'll put it in the description box and probably across here at some point. I had it written down. I just don't remember it off the top of my head. And you can see the Phil sign behind me. By the way, if you enjoy this content, like and subscribe to the channel. It's a new channel. I have the Wine by the Bay TV channel, of course, which many of you are probably already subscribed to and already watching great content for. So if you want more of that kind of content and more of this kind of content, stick with me, and we'll have some good times together. So anyway, back to the battle. So the coffee, I'm going to have to take a shot of this and cut it in. So I don't really know. In terms of the color, it's a brownish color. It looks really good. I mean, it has almost an oily kind of a look to it, which for coffee is actually pretty good. You want that kind of viscosity. Otherwise, it's probably going to be too underbrewed. By the way, they don't use traditional brewing machines here. What they do is they pour over. So they take grinds and they put it in like a holder that has a filter, and then they pour the hot water over it and kind of let it steep in there, and then kind of slowly release it. So it's a different method of making coffee than most places do, but it's an up-and-coming method that's becoming more and more popular, and you'll see many of those machines. By the way, I will have some links down in the description box for some places to get different coffee-making machines for the home, or other supplies that you can get. Just follow the links in the description box below, and we'll have some information on that. So back to the coffee itself. Super hot, obviously, hot black coffee. Again, this is a black coffee. I did a hot one. I'm trying not to do the iced coffees right now, because you really don't get a true appreciation for how the coffee tastes, in its natural state. The water and the ice kind of, melt it down, all that kind of thing. So having tasted this coffee, which I think is very, very good, it tastes very much like a French press. If you've ever had a French press style coffee, you know kind of what I'm talking about. It feels like it's steeped in the water for a long time rather than just kind of going through a filter, like you know how in a traditional coffee maker, the water gets pushed kind of through the filter and then down into the coffee. So this is not that. It has more of that French press taste, which I happen to like quite a bit. So I kind of dig this coffee. It's very smooth. Like I said, I got a dark roast, so it has a lot of rich, deep flavor tones to it. Has like a chocolatey consistency to it. And I took a picture of the sort of the menu, and it has little descriptions next to the flavors of coffee that kind of gives you some tasting notes, which is very, very helpful. So I chose the one that had more of that chocolate kind of flavor, and they're not lying. It kind of has like a milk dark chocolate kind of flavor, maybe like a 60% cocoa flavor to it. Really, really tasty in my opinion. That's kind of the stuff I go for. I like dark chocolate. I like coffee, obviously, and this delivers. So I think that Philz is a really good choice. Again, San Francisco-based company. I believe they have locations in the D.C. area. I know they have locations all up and down California. In Chicago, they have Philz. So there's quite a few locations. I assume they're expanding at a fairly good clip. Coffee is not going anywhere. Even during the pandemic, people want coffee. They have a large selection of brewed coffees, and they may even deliver. I'm going to probably take some still shots of their app, so you get an idea of how you can do different things, and we'll link to their stuff down below as well, so you can reach them directly if you want to place an order, maybe through the mail to get coffee beans or whatever. And I know you can pre-order coffee on their apps like most places do now. So this is George, and I think we got a winner with Philz. Now let's go to Dunkin Donuts, a longtime favorite from the East Coast. Okay, so we're here outside of Dunkin Donuts, and let's see if it's worth the trip, and if America really does run on Dunkin. Okay, so we have our Dunkin Donuts coffee here. I'm in the car only because they have a really small outside that has some people in there, a lot of talking, and I didn't want to give you guys poor quality, and there was a lot of background music. So I'm just going to go ahead and review this in the car. So first of all, paper cup, no corrugation, none of that kind of stuff, no perforation. Although I have to say, it's not as hot as you might think, given the fact that there's no sleeve and no protection. So this coffee cup is probably pretty good. This is a very old school kind of lid. It's got the little thing that opens up here. You kind of clip it back. So there's no need for like a straw to keep it closed or anything like that. Sorry about turning it around, but it's kind of hard to drink the other way. So that's kind of how the top looks. That's kind of how the cup looks. All right, now let's see what the coffee looks like. Okay, so looking at the coffee, they do offer cream and sugar, by the way. So this one is not quite as dark as the Philz was, but it still has almost an oily kind of consistency right on the rim, which is kind of what you want. So I'm going to kind of get in there and see if you can see what I'm talking about. There you go. That's a little bit of a better shot. So you see how it has kind of an oily kind of a rim. Philz had the same thing, but it wasn't quite as light. It was more dark and integrated into the flavor. This is a traditional brew. They don't pour over. You know, it's an actual coffee machine. Commercial coffee machine that kind of makes that kind of stuff. So I'm curious to see how it tastes. I've had Dunkin Donuts many times. Grew up in New York, as many of you may know, and Dunkin Donuts is like all over the place in New York City, especially back when I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So I've had Dunkin Donuts in me and around me and in my neighborhood for many, many years. So let's give it a taste and see what it tastes like. Okay, so we're going to give this a taste, and let's see what we do here. Dunkin Donuts. Not as hot as the last one. The Philz was definitely a little hotter. But they made that with hot water over the coffee, so I guess, who knows? What can I tell you? Plus, this one, it took me a while to get back to the car and, get it running, get the air on. So maybe temperature is affected by that. But it's warm. It's not just ridiculously hot, which makes it easier to taste. I like it. It's not as dark a roast. It's probably like a medium dark roast, whatever their Dunkin roast is. It's good. It's a little more harsh. It doesn't have as many of those chocolate notes as the Philz did. But they're there kind of in the background. A little bit more nutty, a little less of that milk chocolate kind of thing. It's a good drip coffee, but you can tell the difference between drip and that pour over. The pour over really has more of that French press kind of taste that I happen to like a lot. Although this is a very good cup of coffee, so I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't get Dunkin Donuts. The only problem with Dunkin Donuts is, their donuts are all up in your face. All these places have pastries and that kind of thing, but the donut case at Dunkin Donuts is unconscionable. There's so many varieties, so much temptation. It's very difficult to get in there with just a cup of coffee and your waistline intact. So that's kind of a downside. So in the battle of Pete's versus, oops, that's the wrong one. Oops. In the battle of Philz versus Dunkin Donuts, East meets West, the winner is Philz. I can't believe it. I personally think that Philz is a little too much for me in terms of culture, not enough about coffee, but their coffee is delicious. Now, let me tell you this. Philz is much more expensive than Dunkin Donuts is. Drip coffee, I think, is not quite double, but it's close. I believe it was over $4. I'll get some pricing, whereas the Dunkin Donuts was under $3. So if that has something to do with your choices, definitely do the Dunkin Donuts. It's a good cup of coffee, don't get me wrong, but as I said, just for taste, just for like my personal preference, I would say the winner is Philz. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.